Hi guys, welcome to Wholehearted Loving. I'm Stephanie. Today's episode is a continuation from last week where we take the 5 apology languages quiz live on the show. This is a great episode to watch on YouTube or on Spotify so you can easily follow along with the quiz. We're going to get right back into it, but before we do, Georgianna will lead us through a body-based self-connection practice. Take it away, G.
So let's take a moment to connect in with your body. And maybe feel your butt on the chair or your feet on the ground. Maybe it's your hands touching something. I'm going to ask you to look at any object. It doesn't matter what it is. And once you see it, I want you to look for a new detail about this object that you haven't quite noticed before or you haven't really paid attention to. Right? I'm looking up because I see a little picture frame and I'm just looking at the little ridges that I never quite pay attention to. And I want you to look at that detail and feel your butt on the chair or your feet on the floor. And then we're going to turn and find another object. And we're going to look at this object and also look for a detail in this object that is new to you or something you don't usually spend much time looking at. And this time, if you can look at that detail and feel your hands touching whatever they're touching. And then I'm going to have you turn to behind you. And again, we're going to do the same thing, looking at an object and finding one detail that's new. This time, as you look, notice your breath. And then come back to sitting or being in a way that's comfy for you. Give yourself a moment to notice how that felt to do. Was it easy or was it hard? I really love this practice because it reminds us to look for the newness in what's familiar. And I think that's helpful not just in the things we see, but in the people who we know and the people who we love and the people who we spend time with. Are we willing to see what's new? Are we willing to see a piece that maybe we haven't seen before, even though they're always in front of us? So there's that.
Okay, on that note, let's get back into it.
I have spent years and decades telling people, asking people, pointing out to people what needs to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tired of it.
Yeah. So tired of it.
So for someone who is like, no, I can see it clearly. This is what I need to do. And this is what I need to do. Like, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
But then you've also said that in your past, they've known all the things they need to do. Like presumably they've been like, yes, I will do this and I will do that. And then they don't follow up with it. I think because maybe that emotional understanding is missing, right? Like if people are just thinking like, oh, I have to make this repair. I have to say I'll do things that will make it better. Let me come up with a list that I will now recite to you. You know, this could go either way. The intention is the important.
I think if I think back to my parents and the people I was in relationship with and the apologies I got, I think the hope and intention was there from people to do the things that, you know, they thought would be helpful and that I needed. But I don't think the awareness was there of like, well, how am I going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
This is not within my normal sort of habit pattern.
Mm-hmm.
What would I need to do what would I need to practice in order for this to be a thing that I do?
Yeah.
And I think this piece of change is so important that people don't pay attention to. People just talk about the change that they want to make.
Yeah.
But they don't make the plan, and they don't see that that includes practicing many little steps over and over again.
Yeah.
And if you don't put any effort and intention and practice into that part, it really doesn't matter what kind of change you want to make.
Totally. Yeah. And I think we can also get confused by all of the things that we can do that technically we're physically or mentally or emotionally able to do versus what we know we will make time for and what we can
Yeah.
actually commit to.
Yeah, it makes me laugh. That's so important. It reminds last night after I got released from the hospital, I went to the pharmacy to pick up a few things and went to the health food store to pick up a few things. And I had asked this woman who works there, I said, can you tell me the difference between like these capsules and this powder and whatever? And she looked at me. She's like, well, one's capsule, one's powder. Do you have a preference? I said, yeah, capsules for sure. She's like, well, take the one that you're actually going to use,
Ah.
because what's the point of having the other one, even if it's better, that
Mm-hmm.
just sits in your cabinet? And I sort of had already thought of that already, of like, you know what, realistically, I don't want to like mix some powder and water. Like, I just want to pop the thing and be done with it. But there was still a part of me, I think maybe because I was in so much pain, that I'm like, I need to know what's the most effective, what the best one is. The
Mm.
best one is the thing you're actually going to do,
Yeah.
the thing you're actually going to use, right? So that was a good reminder.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so for people listening, if you're in receipt of promises or if you are making promises yourself, specifically around repairs, make sure you're not just rattling off a list of things that you know might make things better. And like be
Mm-hmm.
intentional about it and receive that intentionally. If somebody's anxiously apologizing and giving you a list of things that they're promising to change, it's probably a good time to slow down and feel your
Mm-hmm.
butt and feel your feet and connect with intention.
And like revisit, like the conversation doesn't have to be complete all in one go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We can say, hey, it's great to have this intention and desire. Like, I appreciate you so much for wanting to do that. Like, can we take a break and come back to this conversation again? Because I'd love to hear like how you think, you're going to work that into life so that it's something that can be sustained over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that too, like this is not part of the quiz, but for me, I think what lights me up is when someone comes back with a plan,
Mm.
and a plan that, me knowing them and their history and how they're wired, that I'm like, yeah, I could see that plan being successful.
Right. Yeah, this track.
I think that would feel good.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh,
Okay.
hindsight, hindsight, hindsight.
Okay. It's more meaningful to me when someone says,
I want so badly to avoid this type of error again. Let's talk about what I can do in the future to follow through on my commitments. Okay, or I don't feel right just saying, my bad. I want to make up for what I've done. What would you consider appropriate?
okay, I need to sit with these for a bit. Okay, so the first one, I want so badly to avoid this type of error again. I like that in that it talks about someone's intention and their hope.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what I can do in the future to follow through on my commitments. I like that there's a collaborative element in
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's future oriented. And it's action oriented.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, let's see. I don't feel right just saying my bad. I want to make up for what I've done. What would you consider appropriate? Whew.
This is tricky because they're really saying the same thing in different ways,
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too.
but like significantly different ways that are also quite tiny differences.
Well, one obvious difference I know is the first one talks about let's talk about it. It's like collaborative.
Well, what
The
would
second
you
one,
consider? Oh, I see. Collaborative versus, yeah.
right? The second one is what would you consider appropriate?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that also depends on the circumstance a little bit, maybe,
Hmm.
you know? I appreciate someone saying that they realize that it doesn't feel right to say my bad.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so both are really close here.
Yeah. To get into semantic things, I hate the use of the word error, this type of
Right. I don't
error,
like that either. Yeah.
unless it is actually Chat GPT we're talking to. Um, yeah, and then I don't like the second part of the second option. What would you consider appropriate? That's really weird to me.
Yeah. And at the same time, like the first one sort of presumes that the other person wants to talk with you about it.
Yeah,
Right? So I think I'd like it better if it was like a would you be open to talking,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
about what we could do differently or what I could do differently. Yeah. Okay, so I got to choose one. I'm going to choose the first one, I think.
Mm.
Because I also don't like semantics again. I don't like I want to make up for what I've done.
Ew, yeah,
That
scorekeeping.
feels a bit gross. Okay.
Yeah.
Um I want to talk a little bit about my bad
Mm,
because I'm like, oh, these people must have updated this test since I took it 10 years ago or however long ago because I don't think my bad was like a phrase then that people used.
mm.
But like my oldest kid says my bad all the time. And sometimes like it feels like a genuine like apology and acknowledgement, but sometimes it's so quick
Yeah.
and it just comes and I'm like, dude, you cannot just say my bad after everything you do that you know is not okay.
Yes.
Like it doesn't work. And then he gets this smirk on his face. He's like, okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
You could say my bad again to that. Okay, mom,
Yeah,
my
which I
bad.
think he has done, you know, knowing him, you know him, that would be something he would say.
Cheeky.
Um, but at the same time, what brings me joy is that I feel like we're raising a new generation where
Mm,
even that phrase is part of popular culture.
yeah.
Like I'm like it tells me something is changing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That my kids can be like, yeah, my bad. Like I would have never said that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't part of popular culture, but it wasn't part of our home, you know, language that we used at home.
Right.
So I like seeing that my kids, when they feel like they've done something that's not helpful, they have an easier time just acknowledging that
Right.
than I ever did.
That's nice. Yeah.
And they don't make it like I never have to talk to them about, you know, you're not a terrible person. Like they don't go there with their thoughts. They're
Mm,
just like, yeah, that was not a good choice. And
good.
they can sort of laugh about it. I'm like, oh, it's nice.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's very nice. Good job.
Okay. The next one. It's more meaningful to me when someone tells me,
Okay, we're gonna do like a Emma Thompson and then a Keanu here.
ooh,
I know that my actions were totally unacceptable. I own that. Stresses me out to know that you had to stand there waiting on me. I regret the frustration and worry that I caused you.
the first one made me think of Love Actually. And the second one, I wasn't sure which movie it would have been in. um, I like the
Hmm.
first one. Let me read the second one again. It stresses me out to know that you had to stand there waiting on me. I regret. Yeah, no. I can't even
This
finish
is over
reading
the
it.
top, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it feels
Um,
not credible.
I like the simplicity of the first one. I know that my actions were totally unacceptable. I own that. I really like that a
Yeah.
lot. And it's funny because this one talks nothing about what they're going to do about it,
Yeah.
like going forward. But there's such a sturdiness in accepting ownership.
Yeah. I like that aspect of it, but I don't like the rigidity of like, again, I'm like, what on earth could you have done that was totally unacceptable?
Yeah,
Something
I agree.
unacceptable to me. There could be many, many things that are unacceptable to me, but totally, irrevocably unacceptable seems a bit much. And
Yeah,
therefore
I
less
agree.
credible, you know?
Yes, I like the essence of it though,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is it stresses me out to know that you had to stand there waiting on me. Like I really don't like this because now we're going back to like
You.
the other person,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Um, I regret the frustration, worry that I caused you. I don't care about your regret, man.
How can I make you worry less about how I'm feeling when you're late? Mhm. This is wild.
um, yeah. And I think maybe there are people though who really want the other person to feel deep regret.
Yeah.
It's just that for me that's not important, right?
For my shadow, it's very important, you know?
Yes, for my
And
shadow self, I really want you to regret it.
yeah,
Feel horrible.
yeah. But of course I don't. So then that creates this cognitive dissonance internally, which is an important thing to notice has been brought to the conversation, you know?
Yeah. Okay. It's more meaningful to me when someone says,
I know that I've inconvenienced you. What can I do for you that could help balance things out? I am
hmm,
unhappy with how I've hurt you. I'm enormously disappointed in myself. Good
so cringy,
Lord.
so cringy.
Yeah.
What is really neat though, and I hope that if you take this quiz or any other kind of quizzes you do, notice how it feels in your body. Like
Mm,
I'm listening to Steph say these options and I can either feel like some of them are more neutral feeling, but some of them are very obvious immediately that it's a yes or it's a no. Right.
mhm.
So, and we want to practice getting familiar with how our body tells us yeses and nos.
Totally. And even the
Mhm.
ways of recognizing that, like, and this is a human design thing, hearing options is helpful for me in decision making. Seeing
Mm,
options written down won't have the same yes or no effect as
right.
as hearing the options audibly.
Yeah.
Also just helpful things to know and how you process information.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I'm just reading them again here.
Mm.
I know that I've inconvenienced you. What can I do for you that could help balance things out?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, sure.
this feels pretty good to me. It's not
Yeah.
it's an understanding of what happened and how it impacted me. And
Hmm.
it takes ownership in not an I'm bad and wrong kind of a way. It's, really
Hmm.
wanting to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. The second one, I couldn't even finish listening to it. Um, again, it's all about the other person,
Yeah.
right? I'm unhappy with how I've hurt you. I'm enormously disappointed in myself. Like,
Good.
and yeah, maybe my shadow self jumps up and down for that, but
Mm,
um, like my current day, present day life who's in connection with you, like doesn't really get to benefit from you living in that place.
yeah. Yeah, totally.
Okay. Let's see. There we go. It's more meaningful to me when I hear these words from someone.
What could I do to make this situation right for you immediately? Sounds like something I'd say. Or it may take some time to rebuild your trust in me. Meanwhile, I'll be working hard on changes to prove that I am trustworthy.
Okay, let's see. There is something about both that I like. Um like I don't love all the wording, but the essence, like The first one I like, what can I do to make the situation right for you? And like right for you, like again, that seems like a lot of pressure, but and immediately seems also very forceful. But what I like about it is like it's let's deal with this now.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that element of it, of what can be done now. Even if it's not like the main thing, but what can be done now, even if it's a small thing.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, it may take some time to rebuild your trust in me. I like that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I also like the meanwhile, what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
I don't like proving that I'm trustworthy. Like that just seems too burdensome.
I don't know if the word was demonstrating, would that feel better?
Yeah, maybe.
Or to exhibit trustworthiness?
No.
No.
um,
I really
yeah.
like the acknowledgement of time. Like this for me
Yes.
just reeks of long-term connection that will be maintained no matter what happens, and that feels comforting.
Yeah, it's like someone saying like we're in this together.
Yeah.
And they're also acknowledging there's going to be ebb and flow and things are going to feel good sometimes and not at other times and change takes time. But I'm willing. I'm here and I'm willing to put in the effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm trying to unpack because this first thing is literally something I would say. And I think, so I'm trying to kind of unpack what is happening for me internally when that happens.
Mhm.
Um, and I know it's something I've gotten feedback about. Like, certainly I've learned over the years to acknowledge the emotions, like this, all the parts that are the most important for me. I have
Mhm.
also not done for other people, and I've had to learn more how to do that. Um, for me, I mean, I kind of live in this space where I think we all basically agree with each other all the time. We just have different words and different ways of expressing ourselves that, and I find that so frustrating. So
Mhm.
often when some rift has happened or some contentious thing has come up, what I'm trying to express is that, oh, there's been a misunderstanding. Like there's a way to just not have these bad thoughts and feelings. Let's figure
Yeah.
that out immediately.
Yeah.
Um, and in my experience, that is very rarely received well or
Mm,
understood in those ways. Um,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, cuz that can come from this fear and fearful place, right? Fearful that it's hard to sit with the discomfort if we're not good.
yeah,
Um, I want to know immediately what I can do so we can come back for my sake into this
yeah.
connected, seemingly safe place for me.
Actually, more so that you can be relieved. Like the same thing that my mom came to me with. I want to relieve you of this burden, this mental construct that's
Mm,
needlessly causing you pain. Like that's kind of what I want to relieve people from, which is
yeah,
good. And it bypasses also the feelings that are here right now, which
yeah.
haven't maybe been worked through if they haven't.
I think that, like, in my friendship with you, I think there's a sweetness to that. Like, I can feel in you that, like, you don't want me to suffer. Like, you
Mm.
would like life to feel easeful for me. I think that's a really beautiful, generous desire that you have for me and for people you care about. Yeah, and also if that's the only way all the time and you feel it has to be that way, then that's good to notice.
Yeah. Well, and like you and I have primed our bodies to be able to enjoy ease, you know? For me
Yeah.
to suggest that there could be an easy, comfortable way for somebody who's not accustomed to that and for whom it feels impossible is just like Uber bypassing their their feelings and their worldview in a way that I can imagine would be unpleasant or not helpful.
I think this is really actually a an important piece to really sit with for people. Um, do you have the capacity to be in uncomfortable periods of time, right? Or do you want to go to solution right away because it feels so uncomfortable to sit in that murkiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think solutions are great. Sometimes we come to them too fast and don't give ourselves the chance to feel the things.
Yeah, totally. And I could imagine myself, I mean, now that I've found this life path and relationships and people who value ease and flow in the same way I do, and now that I've experienced that that's possible, I could become quite avoidant of situations that aren't that. I think, balance in everything is important. So don't deny
Yeah.
yourself ease and flow, but don't always stay stuck. Can you be stuck in ease and flow? Don't need
Well,
it to feel like you have capacity to live and be connected.
this is interesting because we've talked about this before about different friendships, right? Certain friendships feel more ease and flow to me than other ones. And when I was lower on capacity, I'm like, well, I'm going to give to and be open to the ones that feel more like ease and flow. And also, there's relationships in my life that matter to me that aren't as full of ease and flow. And there is value in being in some of the murkiness and clunkiness of those ones to create and move more towards ease and flow in those relationships.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great.
Don't want to just cut them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more meaningful to me. Oh, no, I got to choose one.
Mm-hmm.
Second one I like. Okay. It's more meaningful to me when someone says,
I am so sorry about that. I feel truly awful about having disappointed you. Or, saying I'm sorry doesn't feel like it is enough. What more can I do to make this up to you?
yeah.
Yeah, she says. Tell me more.
The first one I'm not keen on because it's so much about the other person's feeling. I'm so sorry about that. I feel truly awful about having disappointed you. Like, yeah, it's sort of okay, I guess.
Disappointed is a grotesque word and concept generally. Manage your own expectations, bro.
But there's something icky about the second one too. Saying
Yeah.
I'm sorry doesn't feel like it's enough. Like, I sort of like that, like recognizing that the words don't really,
Yeah.
aren't sufficient.
What
What
can I
more
do? I'll
can I
bring you the moon. I'll quit my job and stay with you all day, every day. What can I do?
Okay. What more can I say or do to make this up? Like, this is again semantics and its intention and its energy. The way I read this is like, oh Jesus, what else do I need to do?
This person's gonna be sorry forever.
So, like, yeah, I
Mm,
don't love either one,
yeah.
but maybe I like the first one a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, these are both
Yeah.
rough.
Okay. All right, we're almost there. We're gonna get my results soon. Okay.
Amazing.
It's more meaningful to me when someone says,
I'm confident that everything I've learned from this bad experience will prevent me from doing it again.
bullshit.
Yeah, what a load. Or, I know what I did was inappropriate. No two ways about it.
Oh, why do they make the last one so hard?
Mm.
Um, I'm gonna go with the second one just because the first one is like, again, promising things you can't promise. That feels out of integrity.
Yeah, this confidence is misplaced for sure. Also, I
Yeah.
take
Okay.
exception to the term bad experience.
Mm-hmm. And prevent me from doing it again.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. I think this is the last one. Okay. It's more meaningful to me when someone says,
I want to grow from this experience. Would you be willing to help me figure out steps to handle this type of situation better? Or, I really messed up this time. We missed the deadline because of me. That's a repeat question. How dare they?
I know, I noticed that too. It's interesting because now I don't remember what I chose last time or what we even said, but how it feels now. Like I'm reading it sort of like, because I was a team manager before, working at an organization supporting families, and if I was mentoring someone, um, one of the team members, and they said, "I want to grow from this experience. Would you be willing to help me figure out steps to handle this type of situation better?" I think I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm open."
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it was a peer, so I'm noticing a difference.
Mm.
If it was a peer, or if it was someone who, like, technically, I don't really like hierarchies, but they exist. Um, if I believe that it was someone's job because they are my boss to put in some effort into these things, then I'd probably be a bit peeved.
Mm-hmm. What if it was somebody you were dating?
Okay, let me reread it. I want to grow from this experience. Would you be willing to help me figure out steps to handle this type of situation better?
Barf.
Barf. Yeah. I feel like it would, like, if I'm your mother,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah. Call your mom and ask her to support you through this. Come back to me when you can be my partner.
Or like call your people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Very snarky response I
yeah.
just had. But second, compassionate thought. It's call your people. It really is legitimate. We try to handle too much together in relationship when romantic partnerships are kind of meant to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is the thing, like, that I remember Phil reminding us of, like, don't get stuck into doing too much processing with your partner. I mean, when you've never had someone willing to process with you and talk through things, it can feel really enticing and the draw is there to do that. But it's so easy to fall into that stuckness. And then you get into these icky dynamics in romantic partnership that don't really feel like romantic partnership anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, have your people.
Yeah.
This is the thing we haven't really talked much about is, a lot of these options have been like, would you be willing to help me figure this out? Like, could you let me know how to be blah, blah, blah better? I think there's so much value in going to your people and saying, hey, we're going through this thing. Like, can you help me see maybe some of my blind spots?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, and then coming back to your partner and saying, oh, like, I went to my people and they helped me see some of my blind spots, and I'm seeing this now. I'm seeing how I could have handled it maybe better in this way. What do you think about that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, like I want the person to want to get to know me better, not to know how to not upset me, like that
Mm-hmm.
subtle difference. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, having some space by talking to people is very helpful.
Right. Oh, okay. The second one, I've really messed up this time. We missed the deadline because of me. Like, I like it in that it's an acknowledgement. Um, so I like them both, different elements of them both for different reasons.
Yeah. The second one just feels like this harried person who's always screwing things up and always acknowledging that they're screwing things up.
Yeah, I can feel that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. This is so
I'm getting
funny because
results.
the results have popped up and immediately I'm like,
Ah.
this makes so much sense. Yeah.
Oh, funny. We're the very same on the last one. Okay,
I gotta take a picture of this.
okay. So for people who are just listening, I should mention you could have watched all of this on YouTube or Spotify. Where's my results? So the options, there are 5 languages, right? So the options are planned change, accept responsibility, make restitution, expressing regret, or requesting forgiveness. So G and I are both right up there with planned change. I'm at 32%, you're at 35. So we want to hear about what the planned changes are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's big for me. Plan, change, and accepting responsibility. That doesn't surprise me
Funny.
that those
Yeah.
are things that
And
are big for me.
to illustrate the difference we've had going on this entire time, we have an inversion where
Okay.
so yours is accept responsibility is the second one,
Yeah.
and mine is expressing regret. Makes
Okay.
perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's low for me. Regret and forgiveness, which I think was obvious.
Yeah, requesting forgiveness, G and I both have 4% identifying with that. Take your
Yeah.
sorries and shove them unless they're paired with a deep understanding of the impact and my brain and emotions and future planning. Neat.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I don't believe things have changed that much in terms of over the last decade, what's been important to me. I think what I've noticed changed for me, actually, maybe before I talk about what I know has changed, plan change and accepting responsibility are so big for me because I never got to experience that from my parents.
Hmm.
Occasionally there were the stories, but like there were words, but no following action that was sustained.
Right.
And so I think I became really sensitive to like words mean nothing. I think there was a time, it's weird because I became really sensitive to words mean nothing. But at the same time, I found myself in patterns where I would accept people's words and their lack of consistent action
Hmm.
because it was normal to me.
Right.
Um, but in an apology, I remember it's always been really important to me that someone acknowledges impact.
Hmm.
Probably even more than planned change in the past. I think maybe that's how the things have changed over the years. Impact probably would have been number one
Hmm.
because there was so little acknowledgement of impact on me when I was a kid. So I craved that.
Right.
And now I'm like, yeah, you can acknowledge impact. You can say you're sorry. But really, like, are you going to do
And
something
then,
about it?
yeah.
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 So that part means a lot more to me now.
Right.
And at the same time, I think my compassion for myself and other people is more genuine now than it has been in the past.
Hmm.
And I think I could accept an I'm sorry better than like better than in the past. Like I don't know if I'd be as rigid as in the past of your sorry is just garbage. um I don't know. It's really like there's so many layers to it. But I guess what I'm saying is, I don't take it so. This is what I'm saying. I don't take it so personally. I'm not as desperate
Mm.
for the repair to come a certain way.
Right.
Whereas before, when there was so many unhealed childhood wounds, it was like desperate for it to come in a certain way
Right.
and
Interesting.
needed it to come in a certain way.
So in my family, I feel like apologies and ownership are like appropriately quick to come and not
Hmm.
taken personally. There is this niggly, deep emotional thing that my parents we don't share that. Um, so that's the only piece I've felt like there wouldn't have been understanding and apologies, but I can sort of sense memory that, oh, I'm sorry, let's figure this out. It was
Right.
all of the elements that were a real demonstration and a real change were there. And I think
Hmm.
that may have caused me to field and accept apologies that weren't apologies, or things that I took to be positive intention that maybe weren't. And
Right.
um, yeah, there really is no right way. We're going to make meaning out of anything that is produced for us. And the only way through is this awareness and talking about all these things.
Well, I noticed just listening to you say that, I was like, oh, how nice that apologies sort of came often and quickly, promptly, swiftly. Like,
Unless I was emotional.
oh,
Then no.
then no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that first part, my body felt really good. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, how nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe it would have
Yeah.
been like, well, I'm sorry, but you're crazy. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't on the list.
Yeah, they didn't even include that in the quiz.
Yeah. So, and I think you said something really important, and I have touched on it, but that the ways you want apologies, the ways that feel best for you, have not always been easy for you to offer to someone else.
Yeah.
And so I think that is worthy of noting too, like with compassion for ourselves, which of those 5 feel easier or harder to offer?
Yeah.
Like, can I offer an apology as genuinely as I would like one to be given to me? And where are there sort of gaps for me to practice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We've been talking for 3 hours.
No.
How are you
I think
feeling?
I was like, I think my lungs might need a break.
Yeah. Why don't I lead us through a simple little self-connection practice of finding our toes?
Okay.
That feel
Let's
good?
do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so everybody feel your anchoring spot. It might be your bum on a chair, your feet on the ground, or your breath. Now, if you're comfortable, close your eyes. And bring your awareness down into your sweet little tootsies, down into your toes, and press your big toe into the ground. And then see if you can find your other independent little toes and push them into the ground. See if you can distinguish between your different toes. Some of them might feel more obvious than others. Just let whatever happens be okay and feel connected with your toes in the ground. Notice if some toes connect physically with the ground more easily than others. Some of our toes are more curly. Just notice. And take a few breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Thanks. That was really neat because I noticed, I'm trying to pay attention to my toes, and I was, but it actually, that practice connected me more deeply to my breath because it made it, I don't know, more obvious to me when I was holding my breath and when my breath wanted to release. And like, I wanted to remind people that, like, when we walk through a practice, this is not about can you feel every toe? This is about connecting more to yourself and noticing what happens in your body when you're attempting to follow these instructions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
What else do I want to say? I don't think so. I think just, if you're curious, go do the quiz and see.
Yeah.
And maybe let us know.
Right?
Let us know what you discover about yourself.
Yeah, and if you want to get more connected to yourself, join our program starting in September called Priming the Body for Peace. I will drop a link in the description.
This is interesting, actually, if we combine these two topics, is people can offer you genuine repair, but your ability to receive it is dependent on how well you are able to live in a peaceful, easeful state. If your body is primed to live in a stress and chaotic space, you will either have a hard time letting that apology land or having it hold for a period of time, because there'll be a part that wants to create chaos again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why apologies are easier for me to like really hear and accept now, because I enjoy that peaceful state. I know how to be in that peaceful state for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for being with us, everybody. Please like, follow, and subscribe. And if anything we've said here today has been helpful for you, please share it with somebody that you care about. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.